less of a cost of performance, right? Which is why hair and fur in games is starting to look much better. Like the hair and the fur in like Assassin's Creed looks fucking amazing. But you'll notice that even in like Horizon, for example, Aloy's hair is all braided and tied back, right? It's controlled. And like the way it flows and moves, it's more like tubes of geometry with some transparency mapped elements on it, right? They used some shortcuts and they used them very, very well to get it to look really, really good, but they still aren't rendering it like hair, right? And then you get into
It's
things
just
like,
pretending to
you
be
know,
hair.
ray tracing or lighting it or just pretending to be hair or lighting that hair. You know, then you have all those particles that you need to light and cast shadows on each other in order to get them to light properly, because otherwise your hair will look like it's glowing, right? Um, and all of that stuff comes at the cost of performance, right? So you could do an immaculately, you know, done single character's head with beautiful hair that's properly rendered real time, but good luck having an entire game going on, whole world around it, that stuff going on, and keeping your 60 frames per second when you're trying to do that. Put 4 or 5 of those characters on screen and watch your frame rate fucking tank, right?
Yep.
Um, Let alone if you're trying to render a city and you have to have like 100 or 200 or 300 characters on screen at once, right? Every single one of those characters, whatever their polygon count is, whatever their shader processes are, transparencies, all of that stuff, all needs to be handled in that render pipeline in 1/60th of a second, right? So
That
it
is
very,
asking
very,
a
very
lot.
quickly becomes a concern. That is asking a lot, right? So, you know, like when you have that 800,000 triangle Thunderjaw, there's a reason why Thunderjaws only show up one at a time. Not only because it's like a boss monster that's fucking hard to fight on its own, gameplay wise, but when you put 2 or 3 of those on screen and it's already hitting 2.4 million triangles, and you have all of the VFX and shader and animation and all that stuff going at the same time, watch that frame rate drop unless you have one fucking on fire computer that's like a, you know, $10,000 fucking graphics beast. You're
Yep.
gonna have some problems. So when you have people, when your game is sitting there getting sent on PlayStation 5 and you know that your major market's going to be consoles, you got to look at that hardware and go, what the fuck can this handle? And
Mm-hmm.
stay well away from that boundary, because all it takes is for there to be one hiccup and you cross that boundary and your frame rate goes down to 10 and it's like broken as fuck, right? And that's part of technical art. That's part of designing technical pipelines, you know.
Yep.
So that's why fur and hair in particular has been kind of a holy grail in video games, is because of that performance intense requirement that it demands to
Right.
render well.
Looks pretty cool as a hobbit hole grass though.
Yeah, if
You
it's
see
a
my
pre-rendered,
little
if you're
hobbit
doing
hole?
pre-rendered stuff,
Yeah, like I'm
oh,
just trying to
easy.
make like a little reference for an oil painting is pretty much what I'm trying to learn how to do well. And so this was just a quick little like I think I spent maybe 2 or 3 hours on this. And I
Yeah, it's a
modeled the pieces and I did the little like spin tool thing for the bricks and put some like
yeah.
lighting behind the stuff and added
Mm-hmm.
like a nice sky behind it and a tree on top and kitbashed some flowers around to make it look all cozy and happy and
See, yeah, that's great. But you're doing a pre-rendered scene, so it
right
doesn't matter,
would
right?
not work
It
for a
doesn't matter
video
that
game.
Blender is cranking that like 7 frames per second while you're trying to rotate it, because you're
Exactly.
gonna pre-render it anyway.
Yep.
And then now you
Hey
see
buddy.
things like you're seeing things more where we're moving stuff to the GPU end and handling
Right.
it on the shader side. So like with grass and stuff like that in environments, it ends up being handled. You use geometry instancing, object pooling, and shader side transformations. You know, um, to minimize that performance overhead, because the GPU has like it has a massive amount of computing power, parallel computing power compared to your CPU. So
Mm-hmm.
you leverage it to handle all of those deformations of like the grass, for example, but it's also handled in a batch way. So it only does like the calculation once and then applies that calculation to all of the copies of that instance in the scene, which like massively improves your performance for being able to do things like grass and leaves and trees things like that, and hair now too. So it's the newer processes are making it easier, but it's still very difficult to do, and
Right.
and you got to keep an eye on that performance. So
Yep. Yep.
So it
Chris.
all has to do with memory.
yes, memory is always one of the
Yeah.
most critical one of the most critical boundaries. You're sitting there going, yeah, I'm on a console. I have, you know, 8 gigs of memory for the whole game, RAM, video memory, video RAM. It's like, okay, well, every texture that I load takes, takes up 10 megabytes, right? Or something. I have 4K textures in this son of a bitch, right? You're gonna have to fucking figure out a way to fucking compress and instance shit to save memory space, and all that stuff. And then your shaders too. Every calculation your shader has to do in that render pipeline is a time sink. It costs some number of milliseconds, and so it becomes a dance of what can we get away with and how can we make it work. And it's a fascinating space to work in. I've had so much fun working in that biz dev space of technical art, trying to get stuff to perform the way you want it to, but still look good. Someone wanted to ask me a question?
Yeah, it was me. I wanted to. There was something that I was going to tell you how to do, like a week
Mhm.
ago. That was a unique and critical process for non-destructive deformation
Mm-hmm.
that I totally forgot about because we got sidetracked. A bunch of people asked a bunch of questions, and that was that. So when you're making your mech, if you want to push and pull, like it has more vertices than it has, you can actually deform the surface of your thing using a lattice modifier.
Oh yeah.
So your mech, you wanted to expand the body or push the nose or pull the nose, you could do that without actually destroying your geometry. So that when you're in edit mode, everything is aligned the way that you want it, and then you could just use your lattice modifier for deformation.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do. Mine has a lattice modifier. It works much the same.
Yeah, it should just work stupid easy. But
Yeah. I would just
Blender.
need to learn where the tool is at. That's all.
So it is as simple as adding a lattice object by like going to your Shift A and going down to lattice, and then
And
clicking on the
it can use a custom geometry surface as its lattice.
I think when you bring in the lattice, let me delete this. Shift A. Lattice. The contextual menu over there has a radius slider and a location slider. It's a cube.
Okay.
Who's got weird audio in the background? Is that Blend Dog?
Don't think it's me.
I'm hearing a lady talk.
Hear that?
Okay.
I don't know.
But
Yeah, cleaning one's room.
so
Very important. Literally.
I'm gonna
Ryan
mute
is
him so I
very
can talk,
distracted.
'cause my brain, I keep getting speech jammed. All right.
Here, let me show you guys.
So I'm not sharing, am I? Doodly do. Let's hit the button. Share the screen. Screams. This one. Go live. Cool. What the hell? Discord fucking crashed.
Uh-oh.
It
I mean,
pissed
I
it.
still hear you.
Do you see my
No.
my screen?
No.
Do not see your screen.
Okay. Share your screen. Screens. This one. Go live. Okay.
Thank you.
So I have my lattice object, which is this cube, and I select the mesh that I want to be deformed by the lattice, and I give it a lattice modifier. So we'll just
I finally put my curtain
do the
light
thing,
up.
add
Like,
lattice,
there you
and then you
go.
target the lattice,
I'm so excited. Like,
and in your lattice you can give it in its property settings, there's a contextual lattice property panel, and you can give this subdivisions in
Nice.
each of the 3 axes so that you can
Right.
distort this to do just like you're used to, right? So if I do, I'll just do 3 in each direction, so that I have like this center space. And if I tap into edit mode and want to grab this, now it's pulling my mesh and distorting my mesh without changing my mesh itself. Like the lattice is non-destructively warping this black plastic here. So
Yep. Yeah.
So in the case of your mech, I would say that you should have none of these, like back down to its base. So leave them at 2. And if you just wanted to like elongate them, you take these guys and you move them along an axis to do the thing.
Yeah, I've used lattice a lot. Could you use the monkey head as your lattice, for example?
It's not a thing I've ever tried, but let's find out. How about this? Boop. So if I shift A and add myself a mesh monkey head, and I'm gonna scale it so that my puck is inside of it. And if I go to my puck, let's hide the monkey head for a second. I go to my puck and I come over here. Object. No object found. So it has to be.
Is it because the monkey head's hidden?
I don't think so. Yeah, I think it needs to be a lattice object.
Can you define the monkey as a lattice object? Can you just give it that definition? It's not a big deal.
Well,
it's just some of the workflows I've done with rigging have involved using custom lattice meshes to create deformation for animation.
That's definitely an interesting question. I wonder if it's possible. I should look it up on the internet. But I'm not gonna right at this second because I'm gonna see if I can figure it out. I'm gonna see if I can figure it out right now.
Without the internet.
Give you a nice little problem to chew on, huh?
All right, let's shift A. Let's go to lattice. What happens when I get this lattice? Add object type lattice.
You add the monkey as a lattice.
No. Lattice. You know what? That's an interesting question. Let me delete the monkey. Shift A. Mesh. Monkey.
Monkey.
Generate UVs. Not an option there. Let me. No, I asked the internet. Let's do the thing. Blender. And that's the question that people have asked before. Really convoluted, yes. It's not a lattice. It's like a manual lattice. Like.
So you can, but it's not an easy process. Yeah.
You didn't apply your scale. I know why you're having that problem. Last my I've asked a really specific question here, though. Let's see if anybody else.
Because I know in Maya, I've used this workflow before. You can if you have you can use a low res mesh of your model to
Yeah.
lattice deform your high res mesh of your model, because it will bind to the vertices of the low res mesh based on distance and weight it
Yeah,
based on distance. Right?
That's a really cool automated function.
Well, not
I
just
don't.
distance. You can also set it to weight it in different ways depending on what you want, and actually even paint weights with it for the lattice deformer. But it's one of the deformers you can use in Maya. It's not a typical workflow for animation anymore. It was used a while years ago as one way to do things, but I was just curious if Blender could do that.
I'm wondering. It doesn't seem like there's an easy like several click solution. But what is for you? Find components. Redefine text. Interesting. I'm wondering if you could like save your own custom lattice.
Yeah, something like that. Right?
I'm wondering if you could save an object as a lattice. That would be an interesting thing to do.
Yeah.
Hang on. Okay, let me take that mental approach. Edit file. Sir, what even? Okay, object.
Shannon and the pup, they're doing good. They're just hanging out. And what am I working on? I'm making a minion. I'm just practicing my modeling skills and seeing if I can add a little costume to a bean. Because that's pretty much what minions are, is just beans with costumes. I figured it'd be like the easiest thing to model.
Object.
Are these your Blender classmates? These are fellow artists that are also doing Blender things right now. We're just hanging out on a Discord server. If anyone would like to join, please let me know.
We have a Maya artist that is asking
Blender stuff.
Blender questions. It's not a thing I've ever tried to do before, and I'm wondering if
working through it one step at a time.
Yeah. I'm wondering if there is like a data transfer that would make that. Can I add modifiers? I can't add modifiers to a lattice. Armature, cast, mesh cache. I can't transfer data. Curve hook lattice, mesh deform. Huh.
I just need to curve this around the back.
Internet's not helping me out at all.
Is yours not working?
What?
Is your internet not working?
No. I'm searching the internet to see if anybody else is.
It's not helping you.
What's up?
Yeah, so in there the best.
We can hear the background sound you have on it.
I have him muted.
I did too.
Yeah.
Because it was really loud. Let me unmute him.
Is there still background stuff happening?
Basically, Chris, they set up a rig with two different meshes bound to the same armature, and they use a type of data transfer from one to the other, so that way when they manipulate the low poly,
It drives the high poly. Yep.
yeah. So no simple custom lattice shapes, but
Okay. It's not that I would need that or that like I use that even. I was just curious if that was something that was capable of. It's kind of like another tool in the shed, even if I don't use it often, right?
yeah, for sure.
Curious.
Never hurts to find out.
Kill this lattice though. Bullied. Del taco.
Its head.
Wait. What you making there, Aaron?
A bean.
A bean.
Yep. Just
like
just
a minion.
derping around. Yep. That's what I'm going for. Just something to just kind of get in the zone and make something that looks like something. I thought it would be simple. Something simple and goofy.
That looks like something.
That's what I was going for.
Something 3D.
Did he just say bullied? Ryan, did you just say bullied? Bullied.
I totally said. I said bullied. Del taco. Yeah, I watched too much Homestar Runner once upon a time. Bullied.
Sean in YouTube chat is saying, "I love Homestar so much."
Homestar Runner is great. Sincerely deleted.
All right, class, let's make a wet computer out of strong bad's computer. Take a 2-liter bottle of Mountain Dew. Apply Wibbly.
Oh my god.
That's why you're one of my favorite artists. You're always making something that looks like something. You know, if that's all it takes to be someone's favorite artist, then
make something that looks like something.
Yeah.
You're someone's favorite artist already then.
Yeah.
Oh, he's a lot of people's favorite artist. I get to meet these people all the time.
Making something that looks like something.
Right. I swear to God, I'm going to join you in those conventions. We're going to
do it.
A running competition. We're going to be
what are you waiting for?
Count your money.
What are you waiting for?
I'm going to do it.
Do it.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to put together a selection of prints, and I'm going to print them, and I'm going to try to find my ass at one of these fucking conventions, one of these big ones, and see if I can make some fucking money.
Yeah.
I might need some assistance. I might need to like shack with somebody or something, or share a table with someone.
I'm always down to split like hotel and Airbnb costs with other vendors because that just helps us both out. So.
Yeah, I would definitely want to like do something like that for sure.
Yeah, it helps because those are expensive. Like what was it? Denver Fan Expo. That hotel was like. It was like over $900 for the weekend.
It was over 9,000.
Yeah.
Because
they hike up the prices like so hard
for the convention.
Yeah, and so like something that would normally be like 100. Yeah, I usually book it like a month or two in advance, so I always end up way overspending just because I procrastinate. So. Yep.
Yeah.
It's great.
Procrastination station.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not procrastinating, you're not a real artist.
That's right. Or if you don't have 1,000 projects going at the same time, then what even kind of artist are you? You're not procrastinating on like 1,000 different projects that you want to be doing but you aren't doing. And you're working on stuff that you didn't even want to be working on. And
yeah,
it's great. All right. It's just
It's so funny because
Fantastic.
like when you're away from your studio, all you can think about is the work you want to do at your studio, and then
Right?
when you have free time to go sit in your studio, the last thing you want to do is sit in your
Did you book
studio.
your Anaheim hotel yet for Marvel? I did not end up. Okay, so I ended up getting accepted into that show for the show in Anaheim, but I am not going to be personally going. Um, yeah, so
Is Leighton
this do it. No, it's
is
just
that
a no. It's just a it's like a gallery show, but it's gonna be like a couple months long, and there's gonna be a reception, and I was really hoping to be able to go to that, but it's the same weekend as Motor City Comic Con, and it would cost me an extra like it would cost me an extra $600 just for the hotel or for the flight, and then another like at least 150 for the hotel, and then I would also have to have Shannon, or I'd have to pay someone to drive up to Detroit with my stuff, and I don't want to do that to Shannon because our puppy is just struggling really hard right now,
Yeah,
and so we don't want to have to like bring him with us, or I don't, and we don't want to have to have her find a puppy sitter because we've already kind of called in all our favors for the month because we just did Chicago.
yeah.
And so we were like, what do we do? Like, I want to go to this reception, but it just is looking like it's not going to be possible to go because I can't really I can't split myself that many times. And I really need to be there for that. If I was going to be there for that, hey, Bobby, thanks for the sub on YouTube. So I wanted to be there, and it would have been great to be there because there's like all these collectors going to be hanging out at that show at the reception, and they're all going to be like, sipping their champagne and being rich and fancy, and that would have been amazing to be there and be like, hey, look, I do commissions. But yeah, it's just not going to be possible for this one, unfortunately.
Only so many resources, yeah,
Yeah,
basically.
unfortunately. Make more Horcruxes? Yeah, that's what I need to do.
I've been on this like last couple of days. I was just looking around and I ended up taking a look at David Marquez's work in the comic books,
Mm-hmm.
and it's fucking so good, and he's doing Uncanny X-Men or the Ultimate X-Men right now.
Oh, nice.
Uncanny, I think I'm not sure, but he did like design work for all of the X-Men for the comic book,
That's dope.
and he has a particular obsession with drawing Rogue.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, I'm on a bender of drawing Rogue now because
Oh,
I'm like,
nice.
she's just such a fun character to draw.
Yeah.
She's so badass and she scratches that sort of like 80s 90s itch big time, and it's like
Mm-hmm.
it's just such a fun character to draw.
Yeah. I did that Iron Man piece for the gallery, so I'm excited to.
Yeah, it looks so
Like
good.
that's going in like an Alex Ross gallery. Like that's what's cool about it is that piece is going up on the wall with Alex Ross's stuff in the
nice.
lobby of the exhibit. But still, like that's
But
still
it's there, and,
like super dope for
connected to,
me.
like someone, yeah,
Yeah.
that is fucking cool, dude.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I
some-
should probably not be cussing. We're live. Huh?
Eh.
Probably kids on there. I need to watch my language.
It's
I'm
all
so
good.
sorry.
Oh, good. Should I make a one-eyed minion or a two-eyed minion? I feel like a one-eyed minion might be a little bit easier. It'd be the same deal. Let's see. I can selection to
Oh, speaking of Rogue,
selection to
I just remembered what you were talking about when you said that you we were talking about our experiences with Marvel,
Mhm.
Mhm.
and yeah, I was talking to Chris.
Oh,
What did Chris say?
Yeah. You were saying, dog, like you cut out.
animating.
He didn't want to talk anymore.
So I remembered what we were talking about yesterday. We were talking
Oh
about
yeah,
our
yeah,
experience. Yeah.
yeah. You were telling me like how you ended up becoming a fan of Marvel originally, like when you first came to like Marvel as like something you enjoyed as a medium, the comic book industry, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, continue. I'm sorry, I had to bail on you like hardcore, like at short notice. I had something come up I had to run and do, so I'm really sorry about that because I was enjoying listening to you. Please continue.
Okay, so I was playing a game called Marvel Ultimate Alliance, and in the hub world in that game,
Mm-hmm.
you got to talk to the superheroes, and one of the superheroes was Captain America. And what
Mm-hmm.
interested me about him was that he was from World War II. And
Yeah,
I was thinking that that's what the movie was going to be about. And I mean, duh, yeah.
yeah,
So that's how I got into Captain America. Like I really wanted to see what that was like for him in World War II.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That
Yeah.
was one of the
That's
first
cool.
Marvel
Like,
movies I saw too.
yeah,
Iron Man was my first, but you know.
right. Like I recently went and like just like binge watched all of the MCU movies
Oh, nice.
over like a week. All like
Oh,
20 some,
good.
not every single one of them. I skipped like the Incredible Hulk, and I skipped uh the Ant-Man movies, but I'll probably go back and watch them
Those are good too.
anyway because I just want to. Yeah, they're good movies, but I was just like, I'm not feeling that vibe right now, and I just went through like all of the other movies though. I think the Ant-Man movies um, might be the only ones I haven't seen yet out of all of them. But yeah, I binge watched him in chronological order. So I started with
Nice.
Captain America: The First Avenger, right?
Oh, there you
And
go.
then ended with Brave New World. So like, okay, cool. But yeah, it's just like a lot. I don't think a lot of people, even if they know Captain America, because Captain America is one of those characters that's been in the public eye for decades, right? I don't think a lot of people realize that he was originally around during World War II, and that his origin story goes back to World War II. You know,
Super
um,
cool.
So it's kind of like what they're doing with the Fantastic Four, right?
yeah, we're starting
I'm
back
so
where they
excited for that.
originally were. Yeah, and yeah, like um, I went and watched Thunderbolts the other day, and
I
it
heard
is a
that was
very
really
good
good.
movie, and it's probably my favorite MCU movie at this point, and
Really nice.
it is really well done, and it's got me very excited for um, the Avengers Doomsday and Fantastic Four in a way that I wasn't excited before. I was kind of like, okay, cool. I'm gonna go see them. It's Marvel. I want to keep abreast of what's going on, but I wasn't like personally very excited about like the Fantastic Four, for example. Like, it's not a comic or a group that I really was into. Um, but like what they did with the Thunderbolts and stuff like that is like now I'm like, okay, this is interesting again. This is interesting again. So I'm more excited than I was previously, and it in and of itself is a very good movie.
Yeah,
Nice.
for me, when it came to the Fantastic Four, I just thought of them as like something that would never have a good movie adaptation. But then I
That's
saw
hard.
this interview where this person was like, "This is Marvel's first family, so there needs to be a good adaptation." And I agree with that. It's like it's so sacrilegious that we can't do these characters justice.
Yeah.
Or at least the people before can't do the characters justice.
Right. And it's not for a lack of trying either. The thing is, it's like it can be really hard. Like I think I was mentioning this the other day, where it's like I would not want to be in the shoes of the creative director who was handling the good stuff for Fantastic Four, for like the Thing, for example, for Ben.
Right.
Like, that it's terrifying because like you're sitting there, you're trying to do because first of all, and this goes for like any of these characters that are like really widely known, from Spider-Man to Thor to Captain America to the Thing. Like they have an iconic look, and when you mess with that, you're really playing with fire, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when you're bringing these characters to cinema, it's required that you maintain a certain level of like trueness to that iconic look.
Yeah, because then
right?
people are going to be
But
so
a lot
mad
of
if it's
times-
not.
if it's not, right? But at the same time, a lot of comic book designs do not transfer to film very well at
Nope.
all, right? So trying to find that middle ground of making it look correct, making it look believable on film, especially for like a CG character like Thing, but also staying true to the iconic look. That's a fine line to walk, and being the director, the art director and creative director is in charge of you're the guy that calls that pulls the trigger on what that's going to look like, and if it's not well received,
Yeah, you're
man,
screwed.
and it won't be for lack of trying, because that had to have been a nail-biting, terrifying place to be for the person in charge of that, right?
Yep.
Like, I wouldn't want to be there. Like, I've art directed video games, and just being in the hot seat to pull the trigger on any kind of major decision for a video game is scary enough, or even for a video game that nobody knows about. You know what I mean? Like, it's just a scary place to be. Anyway, but to do it for something as immensely iconic as the fact of Fantastic Four,
Yeah.
has got to be
Terrifying.
some seriously stressful shit.
Yo.
So the CEO guy, should I call him evil?
What's up?
The CEO guy who just hopped in, should I call him evil?
Why would you call a stranger evil?
Yeah.
Hey,
I mean,
what's up?
I
Sorry, Zero.
could vouch for his evilness, but but why would you immediately jump to evil? Maybe he's awesome.
Maybe he's an awesome. Maybe it's instead of it's not Chief Evil Officer. Maybe it's Chief Excellence Officer. Huh? I don't know.
Yeah, most
Hello,
likely.
Josh. Welcome.
Hey, what's up, dude? How you doing?
Good. I don't think I've had the pleasure of meeting you yet, so hello. Good to meet you.
Hello, good to meet you.
Hi, Josh.
I just
I'm
seen you
Aaron.
guys in here streaming cool stuff, so I hope I'm not like interrupting a meeting or something.
Oh, we're
No,
just
it's
hanging out.
We're just hanging out
Just be aware that you are being live streamed.
Sweet,
on YouTube.
Yeah.
nice, dude.
I like to make live stream content and then make content out of those streams with shorts on social media. So just trying
That's
to
cool.
Yeah. trying to make some content for my stuff while hanging out with homies, because I tend to sit in silence when I make stuff, and that's not very fun to watch. So I thought it might be more
What
fun.
I'm working on, if I stream what I'm working on right now, will that be visible on your YouTube?
It can be if you'd like me to show it, but it's just capturing my screen right now.
I'm happy. I'm okay with it being shared. I'm
Okay.
not bothered by that. I was just curious if that was going to happen.
No, only if if you want me to look at something, then I can. Yeah, my Discord is pulled up on my other monitor, so my stuff is only capturing what's on my Blender screen right now.
It's on your Blender screen. Yeah, I gotcha. Cool.
Yeah, it is capturing audio though.
Right.
So Nomad Dog, don't forget to mute your mic because we got a lot of audio splash coming from you.
Yeah, got some background as well. Yeah.
Ryan, are you making the same character?
Oh, I have no idea what I'm doing. I was just like, I was gonna do a thing, and then I got sidetracked, and I'm like, I'm gonna do this other thing. Well, you know what? I'll go back to doing the thing. Hang
it
on.
looks
And
looks suspiciously like a minion.
yeah, it ended up doing that.
That's awesome.
Let me turn off proportional editing here. Maybe not. I don't want you to do that. Scale. Shift Z. Z. We want normals.
The normals. You must modify the normals.
That's what I want.
That's
what I want. That's what I want.
You need to change. You need to weld the vertices.
I was wondering. I'm just tinkering.
Hey, that's pretty fun, man.
Yeah.
That's where some of the
Yeah,
coolest.
You can't always afford the time it takes to tinker.
Just
Where some of the coolest things come from is just tinkering with things.
Mm-hmm.
Tinker. What a stinker.
Tinker.
Weird.
Got a pill.
And then I will extrude these along normals. And now he has little clips.
This
Little clips to attach to his band thing that wraps around his head. I'm just derping too. Josh, what do you do? If he's here. Dungeon Studios.
So I run a content creation studio.
Heck
We work
yeah.
on a lot of different things.
Nice.
Cool.
We
Are
make
you looking for people?
always, man, always.
All right. Great. I'm looking for work. See what I did there?
Well, actually, because Mr. Josh here is involved in some stuff, I'm going to be adding a channel for open jobs, and he's got some stuff that he needs artists for.
I make art.
And everyone's going to dogpile him, and then
We're
he's
like,
going to go,
hey, there's 600 something artists in
Zero.
here.
Hey, Zero, which one should I pick?
And you're gonna say
Which one
Aaron.
would you say? I think. Yeah. You're gonna say Aaron, and I'm gonna say Zero. What the fuck? What about me, man?
I'm gonna be like, if it were up to me, I would say Gary.
Gary.
That's
Gary. Hey, you can't go wrong. Gary is. Can't go, man. That would.
fair. That is
Right?
fair.
Yeah, Gary. That man can paint.
You sure
Well,
can.
y'all can paint. You can paint too, Aaron. I ain't knocking you.
No,
What are
Gary's
your,
Gary's way better than me.
What are your specialties there for work there?
Oh, I
art.
do all kinds of stuff.
Chris
All
does
kinds. I
everything.
do painted illustration, fantasy, sci-fi. I do comic book work. I do graphic design. I do 3D modeling. I do technical art. I do animation. I do art direction. Art management.
Nice,
I do all of it.
nice.
Chris is the art god.
No. My specialty is stylized character art. That's my specialty. But I
Okay.
can do anything you want me to do. I think it's and if you like, I can send you my portfolio.
That'd be fantastic. Yeah, man.
Um,
I'll share that with the rest of the team. And
yeah.
part of the rest of the team is Zero here, so you can probably just send
So
And
I've got a good reference then.
Yeah, there you
Yep.
go. Yeah.
and I do what you see I'm working on right now. This is not what I do. This is just something I'm derping around with. I'm like in the beginning stages of learning 3D, but if you can see my screen, this is what I do. I make oil paintings of all kinds of things. I mostly do fan art because I do conventions full time,
Yeah.
but I specialize in traditional oil painting. A bunch of these are my wife's paintings as well, and so this is what I do.
It's good stuff.
Aw.
Yeah.
Yeah, his stuff is awesome. I brought Josh in here because he's like, I have an art problem. Artists, every artist I work with has been the biggest pain in the ass I have ever met, and so his opinion of how artists operate was stuck there because he hasn't had a good experience. I was like, oh
I'm
man,
sorry.
no. I have a flock of artists, and I'm not going to say that some of them aren't that way because I can't attest for everyone, but I can tell you for sure that most of the people that are in this space are awesome and just easygoing people.
Aw.
Hands down, amazing. Yeah, I'll put my portfolio in the chat just so you can look at that link. And that's
Yeah, thanks.
my stuff on ArtStation there for you. So if I have anything that fits what you need, I'm happy. And if I don't, I can maybe dig something up that probably fits what you need because I've done just about everything for the years. So
Okay, cool. Yeah, man. Yeah, this looks fun. Actually, if you get some time, maybe we can, meet and kind of give you more detail about our projects, stuff like that. Maybe when we're like not on a stream.
yeah. We'll talk business some other time, but you have that information there, and feel free to contact me.
Yeah. Heck yeah.
I'm here every day, pretty much hanging out. So yeah, and I think my email might be on my ArtStation there, but if not, I can connect with you here and send maybe something. But we'll talk about this later. We're streaming on YouTube.
Yeah, man.
Hey, Gary.
Hey.
Gary's
Yo,
here.
and there's the man.
Speaking
There's
of, I
Gary.
spoke his name and he appeared.
Spoke him into existence.
Are you
So-
are you making wishes and stuff? What's going on?
Yes.
Just
Go.
forewarning you that we are live on the interwebs, so if you have anything that's sensitive, don't throw it up.
Yeah.
Well, I won't, but I don't have anything sensitive. I only have a couple minutes to hang anyway, but I just wanted to pop in because it looked like a party.
It
We're
is a
just
party.
chilling.
It's the best party.
Who haven't I
It's-
met here yet? Dungeon
This
Studio
would-
CEO. Have I met you?
That would be my buddy Josh.
Very nice.
Josh is an awesome individual that runs a series of really awesome things. He makes modules for D&D. He has podcasts and does audio dramas and all kinds of fun stuff.
Oh, that's
That's
awesome.
what's up. I did some work for a Dungeons and Dragons podcast not too long ago.
Nice.
Did their whole group. They started a new campaign. I did for
And-
their whole group.
I've been chatting with Josh. He has an art and artist problem. And he's a little like once bitten, twice shy kind of experience with artists. And it's more than once. It was probably like a lot of times. Like he worked with a bunch of internet contracts that left him a sour taste in his mouth. Yeah.
So-
And he's like, I kind of don't want to work with artists because they've been bad. I'm like, I know where the good ones are.
Well, on behalf of real artists, I apologize.
Right?
Yeah,
No
on
worries.
behalf of real professional artists that know how to do their
Sorry
job.
that other people have sullied our names.
It's nice to meet you.
You as well. You as well.
Just be warned that we are live streaming on the internet for whoever just joined. Don't share anything you wouldn't share with.
Or
the
say
internet.
something
Yeah.
incredibly racist or whatnot.
Yeah, that would.
Don't
I'll
say
see
that stuff
myself out.
anyway.
I mean, yeah. Well, I hope this becomes a regular thing. That's cool.
What, the streaming thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, why not?
What are you working on there, Josh? That looks pretty cool.
This is I'm putting together a scene to essentially I'm going to make a thumbnail here for a upcoming season of audio drama that we have that we're going to be putting out, and I need to
Very cool.
That's
position
awesome.
our main character Cat here in a good spot to kind of get the thumbnail that I want.
You should totally drop the link to that audio drama in the text
Yes,
chat.
Yes, you
please
should.
do.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Do.
do that real quick.
I have written and acted in audio dramas.
Oh yeah,
Nice.
Gary is a voice actor, by the way. If you want some new
Oh,
talent.
Yeah, well, you know what? We are actually going to be doing some auditions soon because we got a really cool opportunity, and we're going to be working with Kobold Press. I don't know if anybody knows who they are, but
Yep, I've done artwork for Kobold, yes.
So, to put in perspective, Josh, Gary just got a Magic card released. He did a card for Magic the Gathering. Mr. Chris here works on video games. These guys, they know. They know. Oh, they know.
We're grandpappies of nerddom.
Yeah. And I also have done artwork for tabletop games like Friendly Dragons, Bad Attack, Shadowrun, Legend of Five Rivers, World of Darkness.
I'm so jealous that you worked on Shadowrun. I hate you.
Yes, I have. I've worked on artwork for several books for Shadowrun over the years. I'm just sad I haven't had an opportunity to do a Magic card yet.
These are
Same.
your people, Josh. These are the people that you're looking for, the untapped resources that have just kind of been sitting out there that were hard to find.
yeah, man, let's get together and make some cool stuff.
Hell yeah.
And
Yes,
I have.
please and thank you.
Yes,
I would like
exactly.
to dip my
Same thing
toes
here.
into more commercial stuff, so I would be happy for any help getting there, because I just do
Yeah.
social media and conventions right now. So
Pages
Just.
from the Forgotten. This is so cool. You have so many videos out too.
Oh
Yeah.
Let's take a look here. Dungeon Studio.
Oof, excuse me. Freshly subscribed to your YouTube.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm doing that right now.
We've been trying to build it up, and doing it, organically, has been a pain in the butt.
Yes.
But we're doing a really hard marketing push this year with season 2 that's coming out. We've made a lot of upgrades to the show, and we have tons more forecasted for the future, such as kind of what I'm streaming here now. We're eventually going to be shooting fully animated scenes inside this tavern using the Unreal Engine.
Excellent.
To
That's right up my alley. That's what I do. Game stuff.
Yeah, it's going to be cool. Nobody else is really doing anything like that. We do have some competition with there's a couple of shows out there. Mitts is one of them. They're put on by Critical Role and Matt Mercer and stuff.
No real competition.
Little guys like Critical Role,
Yeah, that's insane.
But the difference is they have some on-screen stuff going on, right? And with an audio drama, it's really hard to kind of keep them engaged and not have anything on the screen. So we've been trying to transition towards a point to where we can start doing animation using Unreal. Far easier to do it that way instead of like traditional art animation. And so we've been putting scenes together, gathering assets, building animations, and getting everything ready. Because in season 3, we want to transfer over.
Josh, do you mind if I invite some of these guys over to your server?
Absolutely, man. Yeah.
Awesome.
Sweet. Yes, please, and thank you. Yes.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, the real time graphics stuff is my wheelhouse. Like if you want VizDev, shader work, rigging, technical pipeline stuff, integration, scripting, I can do all that. So
Okay. Awesome.
And if you need emotional support for animation, I've got you.
Well, we are trying to develop a team for working in Unreal.
fantastic.
You know, our plan is to try and build as many reusable assets as we can, or obtain the license to as many of those as we can to kind of rebuild, because each episode will demand certain things, obviously, but the bulk of it takes place in this tavern called the Crossover, which is what I have created here.
That's cool.
So actually, I got a weird focus. Now, I am a super noob to 3D. However, I've been
Same.
dinking around with it.
Like your skills surpass mine for sure. My brain is only 2D. I mean,
That
if I
looks
try to
pretty
learn
tight
any more,
for a
it'll just
noob.
go completely smooth. That's great.
That looks hella tight for you. Said you're a noob. No, that looks good. That's good stuff. Nice.
Now, there's a lot of crap everywhere. This isn't like where everything goes, because I move stuff around to take different shots and stuff like that with the camera.
Yeah.
But this is the bulk of the scene, or where a lot of the scenes will take place, and then obviously we just need like supplemental scenes for whenever we go into the story, because it is an anthology series.
Okay.
And yeah, it's a pretty cool project. We're gonna try and enter for some awards and stuff this year to kind of help build up the brand for it. And yeah, that's our kind of our baby. And it's kind of cool because it's reusing the lore of the world that we created, that we sell our adventure modules, and we're working on a settings book and all of that cool stuff. They all kind of cross over with each other. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Oh,
very cool.
That I'm geeking out. That's awesome. That's so cool.
Also,
yeah.
Also, Josh is a badass DM for D&D. So.
Oh hell yeah! I need to find a good D&D game again. I haven't played tabletop in way too long.
Same.
I've played an entire one shot. My brother's huge into running campaigns and DMing. And when my wife and I went to go and visit in Wisconsin, shout out Robert Labe.
Take that, Robert.
Yeah. He's like, hey, do you guys want to do a one shot? And I've always been drawing monsters and voicing monsters and stuff. And so we're like, yeah, sure. And so he had characters sheets already written up, and it was like 6-hour one shot. And
that's fun.
The next day, my wife and I went out to buy dice.
There you go.
Gary, you got to do your old man Herbert voice for Josh.
I sure like some Dungeons and Dragons. I got a particular dungeon in my basement.
It's good for dragon. I'm not going to go any further because we're streaming.
Yeah. And scene. No, I'll stop doing that. Sorry. It's really hard to backpedal.
I love it when we get into voice sessions on the chat here, like everybody will start doing voices.
That's great. This is what happens when you get
So much
creatives
fun.
together. We do all of the things, not just like, oh yeah, well we're painting over here, but
But
oh
we
look,
also
he's using.
do voices.
Yeah, man. All right.
Rock on, man.
My God, we're weird. Well, I only had a few minutes. I wanted to just jump in and say hi, and
Hi.
I'm super glad I did. Are you guys going to be streaming for a while, or?
Oh yeah, I'll be on most
I'm
of the
just
day.
hanging
I'm gonna
out.
take a break here for some lunch and stuff for a bit, and then I will be back on here in a little bit. But otherwise, I'm gonna be on all day because I have a couple to finish today. So
Yeah, I'm pretty much hanging out until our meeting later with Mark.
Sweet.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, then if you guys
Awesome.
are here, I will jump back on a little bit later.
Okie day.
See you then.
All right. Peace.
Bye.
Oh yeah,
Bye-bye.
thank you for reminding me of the call with Mark. Oh my God, I need to put that on my calendar so I don't forget. If I don't happen to be on here at the time or something.
I'll ping
and-
everybody when we get
Yeah,
there.
make sure you ping me because I will probably happen to find something to distract myself with at 5:45 or like 15 minutes before the call, and then
Yeah.
it'll be like 30 minutes after, and I'll be like, oh, I had this call. Oh crap, and have to run to my computer. And
Oh crap.
knowing me.
That's just how it goes sometimes.
Yeah, that's why I use my Smarty Pants phone to do Smarty Pants things.
Right.
Oh,
Thanks for stopping in, Josh. No, I'm really excited about the near future.
heck yeah. Josh's stuff is awesome, and it's been growing, and it's good to see people's creative projects come to life. So I try to cross
it's
people
awesome.
over wherever I can.
Where the magic happens.
You gotta share. The more the
Share and
merrier.
share like. You gotta share and share like.
You gotta share, old crow. Is that not how that goes?
Yes. It is.
Oh, okay. We're good. Gucci.
Tell you what, more than anything, this collar on this cat has been the biggest. But
Isn't that the one thing that you did yourself with that cat, though?
yeah, I made it. I mean, like once again, I'm not pro.
Yeah, but be proud. Be proud that your thing
Yeah,
is
be proud,
frustrating but
right?
still exists.
Yeah.
You did a thing. That's good stuff.
So I know
Nice.
there's a way to make this key, or at least the one link. I don't know, maybe like make it have like fabric physics or something.
Yeah, you give the bone. You need to give the bone. Is it being driven with the bone?
I have it on a socket on the neck bone of the cat.
Okay.
If that makes
that
The
does
collar
make
or the
sense.
key?
I am more familiar with Unity and its processes, and I need to have an excuse to learn more in Unreal. So working with you would be fantastic for that. But what I would say is, from a general like real-time graphics work point position, the standard would be to use a bone to bind that key's geometry to, and then have that bone be dynamically driven by motion. So that it swings around realistically and is affected by gravity, etc.
Right.
Correct? Yeah.
Yeah.
So you would set up the bone to be dynamically driven, and then you'd set up colliders that end up being the approximate size and shape of the cat. Colliders are usually just capsules and spheres or boxes, so that the key doesn't like cross penetrate into the cat's body when it swings around.
Right.
But yeah, that's probably the approach you would want to do. I'm not sure what unit or what Unreal's specific terminology and workflow is for that, but that's probably what you're going to end up doing.
That's the biggest challenge is everybody's coming from another program.
Mm-hmm.
And You, Mr. Unity, that just means you're a masochist.
Yeah, I love Unity. It's a fantastic engine.
The guys
You
that
know?
named things in that program need to be drawn and quartered. Just the naming part.
Oh man,
Like,
don't get me started with Unreal's naming stuff with its
oh,
shader
right.
graph and stuff. Oh my god, like
What
it's
is
just like why
what's an
would you
RGB
call
node
that?
called?
Yeah. What is an
What's-
RGB node? Yeah. What is it called? Something ridiculous that has
It starts
nothing
with
to
a
do with it.
C. That has no color. It's not color. That's not what it is. It's like, oh, what were you guys thinking? Well, we had the guys who built the foundation to the building name these things. Like, we
Yeah,
had the
right?
nerds
Like,
name it
why?
before they were. But this is for artists. Yeah, I know. We had the engineers do
Why?
it.
Why would you do that? Yeah, naming conventions are always something.
Who is pinging me? Oh, hey,
Also,
Asher.
if your animation was created in a third-party program, you can also bake the key. And if you're just using that animation as a loop or whatever, and you don't have the cats not like dynamically interacted upon in the space, you can also set up systems in your rigging program to dynamically drive that bone and then bake that animation so that it looks realistic as well.
Would I have to do that for each animation though?
Yeah, you would have to. Basically, all you would do is
The answer to your question is no, you don't want to do it that way.
yeah, no. You all it would do, all you'd end up doing is you'd probably end up using a plugin or a tool of some kind. I know that in Maya there's a dynamic setting you can set it up to have the bone move realistically with overlapping motion and gravity and whatnot taken into account. So you would just basically set that up, and then it would automatically calculate the dynamic movement based on the animation you're animating, and then you would take that and just bake that motion into keyframes in your animation, and then just export that.
So for Unreal Engine, that means that if you say you had a liquid sphere of lava and it was like undulating, and in its static state, that's what you wanted to do. If it wasn't moving, it was just undulating on the surface. Blah, 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 blah. And then if you wanted it to, if somebody moved the object, you wanted it to like pull and stretch in a direction and have that, you would have separate animations for those things and bake those into a blueprint.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
A dynamic blueprint that when the object met this criteria, it transitioned one animation to the other and then reset upon losing those like triggers. Yep. Their blueprint system is really cool.
Yeah, it is. I need to get into it more.
So right now I have it to where, I have his dynamic skeleton, and basically I can take any of my animations here, and he will go into that. It just applies it right directly to the skeleton.
Yes.
Yeah, that's your
That's your cat.
Your state machine.
Yeah, he's the
That's
only
your state
character I
machine
have
for
rigged like that so far.
Well, but
you
the
set
thing
up a
about this
state
is,
machine, right?
Sorry, say again.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Razor. I'm intrigued. Go for it.
no, it's okay. Speak, master, speak.
Oh, sorry. You set up a state machine for the animation, so you can just flow from one to the other with just a click, right?
Well, yeah, kinda. I think.
I think he's just loading the animations into the character one at a time.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
He hasn't gotten into that stuff yet.
So if
But,
I were to like
trees and
animate a
stations.
scene, right, I would make the keyframes consist of whatever animations I need him to do. So say I need him to walk across the floor and jump up on the counter. I would run here's what I would do anyways. I'm new, but I would make the keyframes for him walking across the floor, and then change the animation to him jumping up, and run the keyframes for that, and then make him do his landing sequence because I have an animation for all of this, and then a sit down on the top of the counter or whatever, and that could be the quick little scene just as an example, but yeah, it would be manually inserting each one of those animation at the keyframe point is
what Chris is saying is that there is sort of in all of these programs, Blender, Maya, Unity, Unreal Engine, there are basically an animations action editor, so that you can have more than one animation play through a timeline that goes from left to right. So say your character is told to walk a distance, and then you want him to then jump, so you have a lateral motion that gets animated. So you're without your character being in an animation state, you move your character from point A to point B. So the model physically, whoop, over time moves there. And then additionally, you can assign your character to adopt one of or multiple, depending on how you have it set up, multiple animation states at the same time. So if you need him to have a walking animation and you have like a head animation that you want him to randomly dip in and out of to break up the monotony of that walking animation, you can have those things edited in a linear timeline most of the time.
Huh.
So that as your character goes, you don't have to bake a couple of frames and put that out and then swap everything around and then try to cover up your transition between one thing and the next.
Right. Okay, that's pretty cool.
You have
Smart.
what are called state machines and blend trees, which is the engine will determine what state the character is currently in. Like if they are currently walking, it will then activate the walking animation, right? And then you can blend things. So like you can have them doing the walking animation, but say you have them shooting their guns at the same time. Well, if they're not shooting their guns, then they're walking normally. But when the player hits the shooting trigger, you want them to put their guns up and point them toward the target they're shooting at. So you could have it to where it blends the animation of them pointing the guns for the upper half, but continues the animation for the walking on the lower half. And then you can control the angle their arms and torso is twisted to dynamically using scripting. So you can have the character pointing their guns and pulling the triggers at an enemy while they're shooting. And then if you stop shooting, they'll just put their hands down and continue walking, right? Things like that. And that would be driven by scripts that you would write and the state machines and blend trees that you set up in the engine. Unreal uses its blueprint system for that. And Unity has uses Bolt is what it's called for its node-based scripting system. And then you can combine actually written code with those as well. But yeah, it's really powerful stuff. So like what you're talking about with like having the cat walk around the room, you're going to be like pre-animating that walk, right? You're going to like actually keyframe it moving around the room and walking along, right? Is what you're thinking?
Yeah. So kind of in my test runs, that's what I did because I have to not only do the animation, but I have to work the camera and the focus and all of that stuff as it's going. So it's like, yeah, basically I've been just going from animation to animation, and they transition really well. So it's not like there's any glitches in it or anything that looks funny or out of place. So that's pretty. But yeah, basically just manually doing it.
Okay, and that works. Like if you have it sounds like in this situation you're coming from a position of more traditional animation, where it's kind of pre-done and pre-rendered, and you don't need to worry about dynamic interaction, right? So your camera positions and your character animations are sort of already baked and set, and you don't need to worry about a player moving around the space and looking at things from weird angles, or interacting with things, right?
Right.
So you're going to be approaching this, even though it's real-time graphics, and you're not using pre-rendering. I imagine you're approaching this, or you're going to want to approach it in this direction you are approaching it, which is more in line with film or television animation production, where you're animating to a camera that is specifically set up, and everything is manually done. If a character needs to walk from one position to another, the animator actually keyframes that motion and animates that walk across the room. Right?
Yeah, that's exactly
Yeah, that's more traditional animation production, which is perfectly fine. That's what you need for your project. That's what you're going to do. The blend tree stuff that Zero and Ryan and I are talking about is specifically for interactive game stuff.
Oh, it's
but-
analogous across the board. You use that in
Yeah.
traditional 3D animation as well, because you have to be able to blend those things.
Yeah, I was going to say, but there are cases where you might, you have a walk animation, it's already done. You want to reuse that animation, right? So you would end up, you would have that as an animation file or a pose file, and you would just use that animation as your starting point at the very least, and just like plug it in. So there are points where that does cross over. It's just you're not typically going to use where it's in games you're using like almost exclusively state machines and blend trees and things like that.
right.
In this more film focused direction, it would be selectively used in a situation where it's beneficial for your workflow.
But the more you transition towards everybody doing real time character stuff, the more you're gonna shy away from manual camera operations and use spring arms and things like that for your characters, and then have somebody toggling between the cameras rather than you'll just have a camera operator that is moving from active source to active source rather than moving and navigating the camera around the environment themselves. You'll still probably have one or two of those, but spring arm cameras are awesome.
Yeah, it becomes a mix of things depending on the application.
Yep.
Just like anything else. So. But it's all fascinating, and I love working on it.
Hint, hint.
Hint, no, but no, I'm just saying, honestly, I love working on that.
Oh no, your letter is in the desk.
Right.
The letter with the wax seal there is in the cloth underneath it.
I think it's torn.
Is it torn? Oh, that's a tear. Never mind.
Oh, okay.
No.
It looks like it's.
Hang on, lift it.
It looks like a penetration.
Is it?
Yeah, click on it and lift it up. See how it's inside that mat. So raise it up just a little bit.
Oh.
You see what I mean?
Yeah, it's penetrating the surface. Yeah.
You have to turn off snapping. So for when you want to move stuff, you probably have the snapping in the upper right hand corner up at the top. You have your snap grid, and it's currently set to 10 units. The one to the left. It's like all of those things are set to intervals. You can just disable the snapping, and when you go to move it or rotate it, it will, or scale it. You see how like now you're moving it just a teeny tiny little bit?
Yeah.
Don't forget to raise your wax seal then too. Oh, is that multiple things? Oof.
It's all
Maybe leave it alone.
Yep, I'm gonna leave it.
Yeah. Why is that multiple meshes? Evil.
I mean, really, I don't. That right. Okay. You know what? Maybe I'm gonna move that.
For anybody that is recently joined, just be aware that this channel is being streamed live
on the
on the
interwebs.
internet. So don't share anything that's personal in nature or use excessive foul language or prejudices.
Oh,
Did
that's
someone
not
just dip
special.
out? I almost have a minion looking guy. Almost.
Hey, banana.
Hey, Nano, welcome back.
No.
Nano. Where Nano is?
Didn't Banano jump in? Didn't
Oh no,
see
I
him
said
pop out?
I said banana because he's
Oh.
making a minion.
Oh, no, Banana. I thought I saw something about it that said Nano joined the chat. I must have been fucking imagine shit. You made me
Something like that.
hallucinate, dude. You made me hallucinate. It's all your fault.
I
Yep.
did it. Go me. Bye. Bye, Josh.
Huh?
Just kidding. I don't know who left. I always assume it's you.
Just assume.
There's one of those.
Yeah, I just ironed out the details of my compensation for a comic book project I'm going to be jumping on here,
Nice.
and like the writer was just like so excited. She's just like, because I did some like quick drawings of her characters just to kind of explore things, and she was just like, "Are the characters going to look like the drawings you made?" And I was just like, "Well, yeah, that's the idea."
I
And
sure
she was
hope
just
so.
like, "Oh my god, I love them so much." She's like, "I'm so excited."
That's always a good feeling.
I like it. I like how happy it makes people when like I make their vision real. Like it's super rewarding.
Oh yeah. I had a guy hit me up yesterday that was talking to me back in like 2023 about this massive commission that he wanted me to do, like a really big, like 5-6 foot wide canvas, and then he
Whoa.
ghosted me for since 2023. Like his last message to me was, "All right, I'll talk to you on Monday about getting that payment to you." And then I didn't hear from him until yesterday, and he's like, "Hey, sorry it's been so long. If you're still open to this, I'd love to make this happen." And I'm like, "Okay."
Wow.
I'm like, "All right, sounds good, man."
I've
And
had
he's
similar
like,
circumstances, but not years.
"Yeah,
Not years. Yeah, usually it's like months, maybe, you know. But yeah, I
right,
mean that's happened lots of times, but like not years down the road.
right." I'm like, dude, I'll still do it because like it's one of those projects where the guy, he like runs a business and he had a surplus and he wanted to like have more business expenses for his taxes. And so he just wanted to spend a lot on his business so that he could write it off on his taxes. And I'm like, dude, if you want to throw obscene amounts of money at me and have a really dope oil painting, I'm your guy. And he's like, yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
like I will
I don't
take.
care. I'll pay whatever you want. And I was like, well, here's what I usually go for. He's like, I could do even more than that. I'm like, dude, if you want to,
What?
if
Are
you
you
want
shit?
to,
You are like so. How do you land this lucky ass dude? Like just have
social
somebody
media,
like this is how much I ask for this, and people are like here, take my money and then
right,
some.
right.
Usually I'm arguing with people to get them to pay enough.
Oh,
Like
same, 100%. But yeah, I mean, we'll see if he's legit. Like if I actually get a deposit tomorrow, because he said he would
yeah.
give me a deposit on Tuesday, but that's what he said 2 years ago. So we'll see. But you know,
Yeah, we'll see. Oh my god, that's awesome, dude.
That'd be amazing though if that happens, and it's a dope oil painting that I would love to do. So.
Yeah, that's even better. It's something you're actually
Right.
excited to do. That's
Right.
great, man.
Yeah. So we'll see.
I can't wait till I get people to throw money at me.
Right.
Awesome.
We'll see if it's definitely one of those like, well, seems too good to be true, and I'll believe it when I see the money in my account. But
yeah,
until I
just don't let him pay you by check.
right, until I see him say like, oh, I paid it, but it didn't go through. Can you check your email for a link, like classic PayPal scam link?
Yeah.
Until I see that, then I will just. I'll just be cautiously optimistic, and then if it goes through, then I'll be like pooping myself out of excitement. Those are the kind of clients that artists dream of, like the ones who are just like whale clients, right?
Yeah.
They just want something nice, and they have a lot of money to throw around. And I'm like, yeah, I got you. I got you, man. Whatever you want.
I am back.
Did I ever hear back from that football player? No, did not.
I had one client like that. In fact, he's the one that I'm doing this cover for that I'm going to be
Nice.
finishing today. And it's like he contacted me for. This is the second time I've worked with him, and he contacted me for another cover, like it was last year, I think, or it was last year, and he was like, "This is what I want." And I just gave him my honest assessment based on, everything, how much this is going to cost you. And it was a high number,
Right.
and I was expecting him to come back and be like, oh, I can't afford that, or try to haggle me down. That's the typical thing.
Right.
And he was just like, nope, that's reasonable. Given your talent and skill, that's about how much I'd expect to pay. And I was just like, okay, then, you got it.
All right.
Let's do it. Let's rock.
Sounds good.
And he straight up paid half up front and half the day I delivered it. And it's
That's
like,
amazing.
And I'm doing another piece for him now. It's like,
nice.
Dream clients. I am pretty lucky in that I have a suite of recurring clients that are really excellent.
Right.
That they really are like my bread and butter, and they're keeping my lights on right now. Like seriously.
I've got a couple of those myself, and they're fantastic.
Yeah.
Just a couple.
Just so thankful that they're like good people and like great to work with and fun stuff to do, and it's just super thankful for that. Like,
yep.
It's really keeping shit together right now.
Gotta be. Green Research says hi. Hi. How's it going?
Hey.
Hi.
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 Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. You remember what that's from? Anybody remember what that's from?
Mrs. Doubtfire.
Mr. Doubtfire. Yeah, you got it, man. Hello.
Thank you for the sub. My guy's starting to look kind of like a minion. He's getting there. I'll try rigging him.
Yeah, that's where you find out everything is broken.
Right.
Well, gonna have to change this topology.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you stick a bone on it and bend it and go, ooh.
Oh, no.
Ooh, that's bad. Okay, gotta rethink my whole topo strategy here, because that is not the
Brother, brother,
Ew. I have to honestly say though, like working with Blender now for a while, like I'm sure as soon as I start delving into like the node systems, I'm gonna absolutely fall in love with it. Because that's what made me fall
Oh,
in love with Maya. That's what made me fall in love with Maya originally 20 years ago. Was like when I had the epiphany of how the nodes work and how the data, like how like connecting
dude,
things works. You know.
when you get into
And
geometry nodes, you're gonna lose your mind.
yeah, yeah, I've seen some of the magic that people do with those things, and I'm just like, oh yeah, oh, that's very cool. You know, like I
Yeah.
remember what made me with Maya. I remember the moment that I had that epiphany. I was struggling trying to wrap my head around how stuff worked, right? And I ended up connecting a system to where a light bulb's brightness was driven by the angle of the rotation of a bone, right?
Nice.
So this character's elbow, when they bent their elbow, the light would brighten, and when they straightened their arm out, the light would dim to and what I ended up realizing was like you can connect anything to anything as long as the data type matches. So if it's an integer or a decimal or a vector, as long as you match that, you can have anything drive anything else, and you can do it with expressions and like algorithms and stuff like that. So once you unlock that sort of like understanding in Maya, you can do some wild ass rigging stuff, and
Nice.
and that was like, oh, and then I started getting into like how do I set up deformers to get like muscle groups to flex properly based on the arm's position so that my shoulder doesn't deform weirdly, you know, um, and whatnot. So it's like, and then writing expressions and code to get it to work properly, and that's when I got into technical art, and that was back in college.
Nice.
But I'm seeing the same potential with Blender, where it's just like, oh, it's
There's
very
so
intuitive
much you
in the
can do
sense
with
that
it.
like, yeah,
Oh,
I'm like,
yeah.
okay, okay,
Anything.
okay, I get it. Now I see why people like this program so much.
I'm just excited for the potential of being able to make like anything I want and to light
Right?
anything I want and texture anything I want and make an oil painting of that thing I made in 3D.
Yeah,
Like that's just
man,
super cool. Like
Yeah.
super
so much
powerful to me.
fun, right?
Yeah. Crazy potential. I just have to
Making your own stuff.
Yep.
to learn.
I just go to Midjourney
Right.
No. No. No, don't even joke. There's a whole ass world that we're broadcasting to right now. That is not the joke.
and you will get pitchforks
Midjourney.
and
Yep.
No, I'm totally messing. But
I know.
that just to set people up. No, I do not use Midjourney for any kind of finished artwork whatsoever. No, 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 no. Nope. Nothing. Like no.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hello.
Who do we have join?
Joshua.
Hi,
Hello, me
Joshua.
Joshua.
Me, Joshua.
Just be aware, me Joshua. This channel is streaming live on the interwebs. So
I
don't share anything that's personal.
I pushed the wrong button and turned my minion into a monstrosity.
It's a monstrosity.
I'm just laughing so hard right now what I just did. Like,
That's what bacteria looks like.
Ew.
That's fun.
Monstrosity.
That was goofy. All right, let's do this the right way.
What's the right way?
Is it right way?
Right
Let's do
way.
it. Let's do it the way I'm supposed to do it.
is the way you're supposed to do
So I've been told.
it.
There
That's
are
what my
good
tutor
ways, and
told
then
me
there are
anyway.
There are good ways, and then there are gooder ways.
Right?
I
And
just
less good
invented a new
ways, yeah.
disease. Yep.
Isaac says Blender geonodes are witchcraft. Yeah. Yes,
are.
indeed they are.
They They are as close to magic as we can come.
And just confusing.
They're
Just-
amazing. They're
If
not
you
though.
can-
They're only confusing if you don't understand like how to speak math.
Yeah, I
And
know how to
complex
speak
math.
traditional sculpting and traditional painting, and that's my knowledge coming into 3D, and so yeah.
I'm anxious to see what Chris does with it because that man is running on math.
Who, me?
Yeah.
I'm like one of the only artists I know that can do that. That can flex from like painting to technical art and not have a problem.
Well, I mean, that's the whole purpose of the tech artist. Like you have the technical and you have the artist and you bridge those.
That's
Yep.
what I'm trying to do.
It's why the tech artist is the unicorn of the media world. Everybody wants
Mhm.
one and they can't find one because all the good ones get gobbled up.
Yep. And I'm having trouble finding work doing tech art because I don't have examples in my portfolio because all the work I've done as a tech artist has been buried under the closing of studios. And
Do that personal
Oh.
work.
no examples of my tech art from the professional world. And in my personal work is all illustration work because it's for clients and shit, right? Sorry,
Yep.
clients and stuff.
Stiff.
And
Stiffs.
what and feces. So
And
I
feces.
really need so I really need an opportunity to get some tech art into my portfolio.
Do
Well,
it.
I do believe, Mr. Chris, that there shall be some serious opportunities as we go here. One of the original plans for the trading card game was to not just make it a physical property, but to also make it a digital property. So
Mhm.
making a video game version would require massive
Tech.
tech art skills.
Tech stiffs.
Uh-huh.
So just give it some time. It'll happen.
Yeah.
I'm excited to make artwork for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't wait
That's
either.
gonna be fun. I'm trying to get Gary to jump in on doing a Metroidvania with me because we both
Nice.
love Metroidvanias. But he's like, I'm too busy, dude. It's like, all right.
Gary.
And all we need is a game designer, dude. And I met a guy. Oh, I met a dude. I was hanging out. It was free comic book day this weekend, right? And I was hanging out at my local comic shop, looking out. Because I told you guys, like on like Monday nights, I go and hang out there and teach basically, and just like talk to these kids that want to do art, about their art and how to do it and what it's like.
That's cool.
You know.
Yeah.
And kind of the same thing we do here on the server, just in real life at the local comic shop.
I do that too.
Yeah, and it's super fun, man. I love inspiring people and
Oh yeah.
like, showing them stuff that they wouldn't like otherwise have known. And I was just hanging out there, and this kid that had popped in like one time before when I was hanging out there, and we had met, but we hadn't really had an opportunity to talk because he couldn't stick around for one reason or another. I can't remember what it was, but he has just graduated in game design.
Nice.
Like,
Oh, that's awesome.
Just like last week or something, like just recently. And I was like, wow. I was like, well, I make video games. That's what I do. And he was like, well, cool, dude. And I was like, this is a really bad time to graduate. because the industry's a mess right now. But that is so cool. And I was talking to him about like some of the stuff we have going on the server, and I think he might have actually joined the server, but I don't know his name on Discord right now. But you know, I was like, you know, one of the disciplines we don't have ready access to in our stuff is game designers. We have plenty of artists. We have, you know, around for that stuff and whatnot. You know, one of the things we don't have is game designers. So come join in. So
Mm-hmm.
super
Yep.
cool. And this face is so fucked up. Sorry. Oh my god. Here, I'm gonna share this. Hold on a second. I'm gonna do what I did. I'm gonna share this crap with you guys. I'm gonna share this ugly stuff with you guys.
I'm making a very ugly 3-fingered hand right now, and it looks awful in its current state.
So bad. I didn't structure it. I just went to town with a blank face.
Hey, it could look so much worse.
Yeah. She could have a belly button in the middle of her face, you know? It could happen.
Right?
I've seen so
Okay,
much worse, and I've painted so much worse.
I need to go back to my structure here. And we need to put them cheekbones up in there. Figure out where those eyes are supposed to be. So if I thought I was bad. I thought I was like badass enough to just do it, just wing it, because I'm a super pro. Nope.
Oh, I've thought that so many times and then
Fundamentals, dummy.
regretted it so hard.
Fundamentals, dummy. There's a reason they're there.
It's like, I know how to do this. Just kidding. I absolutely do not.
Yeah. I completely forgot how to do this as soon as my pencil hit the paper.
What's a pencil? Crap.
Right?
Hey, Joe.
Yes. What's up?
On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate my critique from yesterday?
The critique of my stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, excellent.
Are you
Super
asking
helpful,
him
dude.
to critique your critique?
Um,
It's a critique.
Critique your critique. It was super helpful to me. So excellent. You answered my question perfectly. So just for context, I was asking Nomad about my work. I was working on drawing, and it's like when you're the guy doing the work, when you're in the woods, it's sometimes really hard to tell how your art feels to others or how it looks to others. So to me, I'm looking at a drawing going, wow, these eyes look terrible, right? But that's me, and I'm often not able to have an objective opinion on that, right? So I was asking Nomad, like, how my drawing of this character made him feel, what she felt like, what the character felt like as far as the vibe, and if the eyes looked okay and things like that. So he was very helpful in explaining, like, the effect the character had, how it felt, how it looked, and whatnot. So
Nice.
it was a very, very good.
That's awesome.
Question.
Good job.
Really good. Really helpful. The thing to keep in mind is like critiquing someone's work if they're asking for it, right? Obviously, if they're not interested in critique, right? But if they want critique, like honestly assessing somebody's work and where it was successful and where it's not successful, or where you feel like it's struggling or not struggling, is not a bad thing. It's not mean, and especially if it's coming from a place of honestly wanting to help this person do better or attain the goal that they want to attain. There should be a better way to put that, right? Because there's better, worse is totally subjective to the artist, but to meet the goals that they're trying to meet with their art, and if your critique is if it has that pure intention of wanting to help them reach that goal, that's all that matters. It's not negative or mean, and it doesn't really even matter if they take your advice. They may not, and that's perfectly fine. But as long as it's coming from that place of going, I want to help you reach your goal, right? That's really the only important thing.
Yep. I stay
Yeah, I
online
find it
so
hard
much.
to give people critiques
It is hard.
because I oftentimes think that they ignore my advice.
Sometimes they do. A lot of times people do, and that's okay. That's fine. It's optional. Like when I give advice or critique to somebody, you know, I I have no expectation of them using it, right? I'm just offering it. This is here for you to check it out if it helps, right? And this the reality too is like they may try my advice and be like, yeah, that's not working for me. That's fine, right? You know what I mean? That's perfectly fine, right? It's more about, hey, this is a way I approach that. This might help you. Check it out. If it doesn't, or if some of it does, that's fine. No worries. No worries. It's all good.
Yep.
Yeah.
My wife and I do that all the time because we both paint together fairly regularly. We're both
That's
oil
awesome.
painters, and so we have to be able to be willing to give advice when it's asked for and not give advice when it's not asked for. And then if you give the advice when it's asked for, be okay with with them saying,
And not being heated.
"Nah,
Yeah.
that's horrible. That's the worst idea I've gotten all day." And we have to be okay with that because we are
Yeah.
each our own artist. And if we ask for the advice, great. And if
Mm-hmm.
we don't like it, you know, that's also fine because
Yeah, that's also
it's
fine.
it's our own painting and we're doing our own thing. But yeah, that's been something like as as people who paint professionally together in the same room and who have very many of the same skills. That's been something that
Mm-hmm.
we've had to really learn how to do in a healthy way together, also as a married couple.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
So,
Yeah.
like, yeah, that's
Learn
been
as you
it's
go.
been
Yeah.
a big learning process for us, but we're getting there.
I don't know if
Ooh,
anyone else has
that's
this experience, but I'm actually a really big fan of advice, especially if not solicited from people who don't draw or just are not
Oh
artists
my
at all. I
gosh.
just feel like there's no skill.
Yep.
yeah.
And I don't even mean that like in an ironic way, like they're so ignorant.
No.
I like genuinely like their advice is like super valuable, sleeper advice
Yeah.
even.
Yeah, no, I 100% understand. I ask that of people all the time, and people are like, well, I'm not an artist, so I don't know. It's like, no, 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 no. The
That's
fact
why.
that you are not an artist is why I want you to know your opinion. Because the thing is if you look at my piece and you pick something out that doesn't feel right, you might not be able to articulate why, right? And you might not understand how to fix it. But if you're coming at it from a completely uninformed position and it feels wrong to you, that's a red flag. That's a red flag for me. I did something wrong here. This is not reading the way it's supposed to read. And that's a very, very powerful and pure sort of thing, right? We as like professional artists and trained artists or practiced artists, we're steeped in this like deep knowledge of how things work, how they're supposed to work, what's right, what's wrong, what's good, what's bad, blah blah blah. And that can sometimes remove us a couple steps from that pure like gut reaction, right? And that's something that like people who are not creatives can give you, and it's really useful information, big time.
Yeah, I
Like
guess where I thought you
ultimately,
were going
like
with that was like the people who think they know what they're talking about and they say something and or they like give it unsolicited advice on a social media post and when yeah, I guess I was
yeah,
I
usually
my gut reaction was from the other way of like this person doesn't know what they're talking about and they're giving me unsolicited advice and I'm just like no, no, I hear what you're saying but no. It's
yeah, there are
yeah.
those people too, and there's a difference,
Uh,
right?
yeah.
Um, yeah, but yeah, sometimes I find that unsolicited advice from people who are not artists to be so immensely useful, right?
Hmm.
Because you're making the art for these other viewers, right? Like, well, I mean, you're making it for yourself, but ultimately it's going to be enjoyed by other people, and you're trying to create a certain effect with that work, right? And if that effect isn't happening when other people view it, then you've missed your mark, and that's important to know. And that's something you can't often tell from inside, from the inside, right? So it's good stuff.
Right.
Agreed. I know that one of my favorite people at my old work to ask for opinions on a piece was our programmer, because he's, again, like you guys, he wasn't trained, but he would know the project and had a decent sense for the narrative, but had a completely
Mhm.
different view of how that narrative translated into art and what he got out of it, because he wasn't as closely tied to everything being made. So
Yeah. Oh yeah, it gives you that untethered, objective opinion. So good. So many times, yeah. It definitely seek that stuff out. Like, all that information is useful to you as an artist. Like, it's all useful. Yeah, and sometimes it can hurt. Like, you got this person, you got to kind of separate your ego a little bit, because you'll have this person that's they don't know what they're talking about, right?
Right.
But they're telling you, oh man, that arm looks wrong. That this, what is this? What is this supposed to be? What is
Yeah.
that supposed to be? And you're sitting there going, okay, I obviously did some stuff wrong here.
Right.
Because of someone that with no knowledge and is completely blank to this walks up to it and is asking me what fundamental elements of this piece are, or something like that, then okay, I need to rethink this, right?
Right.
you know
Yep.
and it's good information. It's powerful information.
I will say
It's
the
just
only difficulty I've had with this approach now is that the person who used to be my go-to for the advice has become impressed by my work, and now he doesn't give me any negative feedback.
No.
yeah
So I'll throw pillows at him. I'm like, I don't want to hear that I'm good. Get out of here.
Tell me why I suck.
Tell me what's wrong. Tell me what you see that doesn't feel right. Yeah. And that's kind of what I was asking of Nomad Dog, what he was talking about with that critique the other day. It's like, tell me what you feel when you see this, because I can't see it. I'm too close to it, right? And I'm doing my best to try to do this thing, but I can't tell if that's successful, so I need an outside eye to tell me what this is making them feel, right? To tell if I'm doing it right or not.
My buddies just said, I have yet to be impressed by you, so don't worry, I have lots to say. Good.
Have the chat open.
He's like, I think you suck, so
Yeah.
I can help you out there.
Good.
Just forewarning all the new people that have joined, we are streaming live on the internet, so don't say anything that compromises your identity or anything massively prejudiced, but that would be pretty normal for you to get kicked out of here anyway.
good to know. I like the warning signs in the Discord, in the
Hey,
chat title though.
I was trying to draw attention to it because Aaron here, he was like, "Hey, do you guys mind if I stream?" I'm like, "Well, I don't mind, but somebody randomly joining might mind," and
Right.
trying to make it like as noticeable as possible that this is what's happening.
Is it just Aaron who's streaming, or is there anyone else streaming to the live interwebs?
I don't think anyone else is right now.
It's Aaron with intent. If anybody else, it's tertiary.
Yeah, Aaron is so your audio is totally hearable on YouTube.
Yes.
But only Aaron's screen is being shared.
Gotcha. Thank you.
And I'm not sharing the Discord screen, so can work on whatever you want. Just trying to make more content for the interwebs, because social media algorithms are quite demanding.
Yeah. So, the Webernets.
Yep.
Okay. Well, knowing that this may happen, and speaking to feedback, is anyone here open to giving feedback at this time?
I am. I always
Yeah.
am.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hit it.
that's what this forum is for.
Yeah,
Alright.
that's
Go for it.
We do
We're all
get
here for
Might as
things.
well take advantage of this opportunity.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
One moment. I need to double check that the most recent. I have a JPEG of the most recent version of this to share because I don't think I do.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so the thing that I'm working on is in the chat.
Ooh.
Nice.
Well,
It's looking
Looks like
good.
a chart, buddy.
Getting those
yeah,
gestures
like I said,
down.
it has that old school Rocky and Bullwinkle style to it, like feels. Oh, but
So when you say that, are you saying that it looks flat?
No, he's saying that
No.
it translates as something recognizable that's triggering his nostalgia, and he loves what you've done.
yeah,
Oh,
exactly. Like, have you guys
'Cause-
ever seen like the old Rocky and Bullwinkle cartoons with like Boris and Natasha
Oh yeah.
and whatnot? It's just really wild, right? It has this very graphic, sketchy like feel to it, and so there's some of like the stylistic elements to the eyes and the way you're expressing things. It's just making me recall that style. And it's a really old school, wonderful like style that really informed a lot of stuff after it, and it's so cool. So cool.
I was thinking that they kind of abandoned that style when Scooby Doo came around.
Yeah, other stuff came around and became like really popular after that, right? Like the production values went up with like Hanna-Barbera and stuff like that doing the stuff. But there's still like there's just a really strong place for that kind of like old school animation style. Um, and it's so much fun. It's child like that's something that I actually really appreciate about your work is like it's got this like super childlike feel to it, and I mean that in like the most wonderful way possible. Like by childlike I mean like it's fun and it's like it's expressive and it's like if I compare it to like my work is like grounded in like anatomy and classical training and all of this stuff, right? And in doing that, like I sacrifice a certain amount of like purity, right? Whereas your work feels closer to the vest in that sense of like childlike purity, right? And I really appreciate that.
That's a good way to say it. Yeah, that's nice.
That's the best way to put it.
I like it.
Yeah, I was actually a part of this one class on schoolism where the teacher he was talking about how when he was trying to get into animation he was doing this super realistic stuff and he realized that like it didn't really convey a sort of animation style.
Mm-hmm.
So what he discovered was that the way to convey that animation style is to pretty much just like break some things like silhouettes or the way
Yeah.
that a character is posed. You know, not commit to making it look too realistic while at the
Mm-hmm.
same time giving off a sense of draftsmanship or whatever.
Right. Yeah, animation is really interesting like that because like there are concessions that need to be made because of the medium, right? Like especially this is particularly true with traditional 2D animation, right? Like characters have to be cleverly simplified because it already takes such a ridiculous amount of time just to get motion down, right? For a character with traditional animation. Um, let alone if that character is like super complex, right? And let alone if you're trying to do something realistic, right? Like, oh my god, like, it already, like your typical animator, I think it's, what is it, 1 second of animation for a week of work
It's insane.
is the typical speed for like Pixar, for example, right? Or even 2D animation. It's like 1 second for a week of
Crazy.
good production quality animation, right? It's like it is a massively time consuming process. And the more complex a character is, the more time consuming that is. Like, because you think about it, I mean, it makes sense. It's just a simple math game, right? You have, if you're doing traditional animation, you have 12 drawings per second, right? 24 drawings, so maybe it's a minute per week, but it's like it's 12 drawings a second, right? So on twos, it's if you're animating on twos, right? If you're animating on ones, then it's 24 or 30 drawings per second if you're doing it for television. So let's say you're doing it for television on ones, right? And you're doing a traditional hand-drawn animation. You're not doing puppet animation or any of those shortcuts that they use now, right? So you have this whole process of keyframes and in-betweens you need to go through to nail down the proper, just the gross, large-scale motion of the character on the screen, right? Whatever that is. And then you have to go through and build on top of that all of the principles of like squash and stretch and make sure those motions feel good and weight and all that stuff. But then you have to build onto that anything that's like flowing or loose or needs to swing around, like cloth or ribbons or hair. You have to figure out all of the overlap and follow through and of all of that, and then build that into there, and get all of that motion looking right. And then you actually go do a drawing of each frame after going through all that construction. And you have to do 30 drawings. So the more realistic and the more painstaking each of those drawings is, the more time it takes, right? So one of the reasons why animated stuff is so simplified is just to simply save the time it takes to execute those drawings. That's why characters have 3 fingers instead of 4, like, for example, because it's just easier to animate, and so this kind of like really simple childlike style is wonderful because it can bring it to life and it has such energy to it, right? And that's what I appreciate about it. It's just so much energy to it.
Yeah, I posted something in the chat that I really took away from that class. These 2 words, draftsmanship and vitality.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you want to you want to give off the fact that what you're animating has dimensionality to it, but you don't want it to feel too grounded, if that makes any sense. You want it to like you want the poses and stuff to actually convey a story.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, now we have Muffins asking something as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of the realism.
Right, now we're into realism here, so this is a bit more detailed, not animation.
Yeah. So I started with basically here's rough painting, cleaning up, and then it's like I need to clean up with the outline. work, and I'm going through, and there's two pieces I would like feedback on particularly.
Hmm.
Any anatomy pieces that feel wrong, particularly on the outline one. Because I'm trying to also change the hand posing to support the axe with her wrist underneath it, because I realized the other pose had it being really held just by the fingers, and that did not seem right.
Yeah, not for this pose and not that weapon, right?
Not that weapon.
Yeah, I did
Um,
a drawing of a Jedi for May the 4th the other day, and she's holding her weapon like a really elegant, sort of just like the fingertips sort of way, the lightsaber, because that works with that weapon. This is not that.
Not
This
that
is
weapon.
like grip that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um.
Another part would be if there's
Okay.
anything on the facial, the face that's off, either too. Like,
Okay.
there's something about it that's like I like it, but I think it's close, but I don't think it's right in terms of like.
Can I tell you what jumps out at me?
Yes.
The position of the eyes.
And I know it's the eyes are what bother me. I just can't quite catch where exactly it's draw.
If you were to draw a line to like segment your face, the vertical line down for the nose through the mouth, like straight up and down, the eye on the right, from my perspective, is
low.
Yeah, is disproportionate to the right eye in its position and a slight bit of rotation.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yeah. Yep, that's exactly right. So this is very tricky. In real life, people don't have perfectly symmetrical faces, right?
Yeah.
So you can get away with a certain amount of inaccuracy. And actually, if you want to make somebody look kind of ugly, you can purposefully make them asymmetrical, right?
Looks so good though.
If you want some like really serious characterization, you can do some like asymmetrical face stuff, which makes people look really unique, right? But I assume that's not what you're going for here, right?
She's not supposed to be a pretty woman.
No, not supposed to be pretty, but she's not supposed to be grotesque either. She's supposed to be hideous, right?
Can I add value?
Yes.
So take, for example, the father in The Croods. He's nice to look at, but he's definitely not pretty. And they've exaggerated some features that take him a little off balance, just a tiny bit.
Yep.
Enough to make him go, oh, this isn't like flawlessly symmetrical, so our brains don't go, oh, this is beautiful.
Right. Yeah, because that's true. Because our brains, we equate symmetry with looking attractive, right? Like evolutionarily speaking, right? It's not a cultural thing. This is like a physiological human thing, right? But you can get away with a certain amount of asymmetry in a controlled sense because people's faces naturally are not perfectly symmetrical. So there's that. So you don't need to worry about it a whole lot. But in this case, that right eye is definitely not positioned symmetrical to the left eye. And so Zero has a point there. The other thing I'm seeing has to do with, you were talking about the hands, and we'll get into that in a minute. So do you have construction that you've done on this that you could show us, like underdrawing, construction, sketching, before you went to value, or after you went to value, before you did these sort of like outline works?
Not that. It did not get preserved.
It did not get preserved. Okay, that's fine.
One moment though, I'll start streaming the screen so I can show you what I do have. It might not be great best quality, but so that is not this is all done. That's my background guy. Like, it really is like at one point I just like kind of started. It's all supposed to be like roughly on one layer, except for a couple of the details. So,
love the character though.
Yeah, it's a
cool
character.
Can really get like this sense of like who she is just by her character design and costume and expression, and like this is a BA warrior lady that she will not hesitate to like kill 1,000 foes in battle. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah, I've been working on this character because I've been able to take her into 2 different campaigns. So I've had her loose I've had a couple chances to like I've had over 3 years to really refine this character and get a sense for her between two
That's
So
campaigns.
awesome.
good.
But so it's like
Okay.
I appreciate the sense for like the design work and stuff. It's been a lot of like figuring out how to create a So and especially because
I'm
she was me experimenting with making a non-pretty character in that sense.
Yeah,
Like that
yeah, yeah.
I'm
character
not great
who's
at
not
offering
mostly-
criticism, but I will hype you up so hard.
Yeah. Right? That's the number one thing. It's like, just because we're critiquing does not mean this is not cool.
Oh,
Yeah.
I hear
Yeah.
that. I
Yeah.
understand. I asked for the professional criticism, and that means I'm
Mhm.
asking for you guys to get me like where's the work. Like
Yeah.
after I get done with the anatomy pieces, the next thing for me to tackle is how to do a full like illustration that has the values that don't get messy because that
Yeah, you
that
need
got
to
messy.
control your values a little bit here, yeah.
Yep, but that's
Okay.
I'm leaving that alone right now. That doesn't need to be tackled.
Right. Okay, so for the face, what I would probably recommend is kind of what Zero was saying was get your dividing lines in there and make sure stuff is kind of in alignment. Now, her face is at a really difficult angle. Okay, some of the most
Yay.
difficult angles to do with
brought
faces
on.
is angles that are not necessarily straight at us, because you can use like symmetry tools and stuff to help with that. But when it's just a few degrees off of center, when it's not quite 3/4, when it's not directly at you, that subtle angle is very hard. And I struggle with this. I absolutely 100% nightmare struggle with trying to get a face that's just a few, like say 10 degrees off at the center.
Yep.
You know, it is hard. So give yourself some credit on that, right? So
I could push her
um,
more towards the right so she's looking farther right, or like her face is farther right, so it's not as
that might affect your composition a little bit. I feel like part of the reason this is really powerful is because she's looking at the viewer, right?
Well, and this
That
is a
makes
learning
you feel
opportunity,
threatening.
so don't
Yeah, and it's
change it for comfort. Change it to
Yeah.
fix it.
Yep, change it to
Okay.
fix it. Like, hold yourself in that uncomfortable struggle zone and challenge yourself to do it. And it's going to make it take longer, and it's going to be draining mentally, but you will learn from it, right? From that challenge. So you can immediately see, as you're putting that structure in here, that one eye is definitely low, right?
yeah.
Right?
Yeah, okay.
So that's what you need to do right now is get back to that structure and kind of align things a little bit. As far as the face overall goes, I don't see much wrong with this as far as that mouth, the and everything else. It looks pretty good to me. There's nothing that's standing out to me as really wrong. She has an above average sized mouth, but you know, that could be a stylistic choice, or she could just have an unusually large mouth. It's not like weirdly huge or anything like that, right? So I think it works perfectly fine for the character. So, you know, there's that. For the hands, the immediate thing I'm getting here is, if you look at the two hands, you have her left hand, our right, the pinky side is facing us, right? And then her other hand, the index side, is facing us, right? They're not in alignment. That axe handle is a straight shape, right? It's a cylinder, right? So you need to decide whether it's tilting towards us or away from us, and those hands need to match the angle of that cylinder, right? So if it's tilted away from us, then that upper hand is correct, but the lower hand is not.
I get what you're getting at. Okay, because you're talking about
Okay.
you're talking about
that-
the fact that you have this side, but then this side showing.
Right.
So you're
Yeah.
representing
I did
that same-
three-dimensional objects in
And it
two-dimensional
said-
place.
I did the
Exactly. So you
exact
need to think
same
about
thing with the
Gotcha, it
painting.
makes-
I
it
did.
makes the
No.
axe handle look like a big curve like
It's
this.
so
Yes,
easy
it
to
will
do
look
that.
curved.
Well,
No.
actually, because our brains recognize that it's an axe handle, the axe handle looks fine. The hands look weird.
Hands look weird. Yep.
Yeah.
No.
I ended up just
here's the
making
thing,
my axe a
too.
curved
one that
axe.
Yeah,
Like what I wanna
it's
keep
actually a
myself-
curved axe. So you'll need to make a decision there. The other thing to keep in mind is that, like, perspective is a thing here, so that's also going to adjust this is going to get mind numbing and trippy, right? But there's also perspective in depth too, so the hands are going to be at different angles from each other, but
Slightly.
slightly, right? And so if you tilt them too much, it will feel wrong. There will be just a just right angle that will feel right. And it doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be close enough to make it feel right. Yeah. And so that's the other thing. Otherwise, this character is absolutely cool. Way cool. Way cool.
Yeah.
Okay. I definitely want to keep this one where it is.
Right.
Like with the bend, the left one's one I can easily.
Yeah,
fix
because
up.
because
That
that
hand.
lower arm is from looking at your lay in there, it's foreshortened and it's coming out toward us, and that upper arm is pulled back closer to her torso, so it makes sense that the lower part of the handle would be closer
Thank you
to
for
us,
the
right?
sub, Michael.
So
Appreciate you.
Yeah, I might even pull it off a little bit more, so it's stretching
yeah,
out
you
my
can
arm
even do
more,
that.
just
Yeah,
to not quite.
if she has a wider grip on the axe, right, that's got a lot of power to it, right? It's going to feel powerful. Like if she's holding the axe close to the base and the other hand up near the head, because that means when she's looking to swing that thing, she's looking to bring that upper hand down to the bottom hand as she's swinging it, which means she's looking to get maximum force at the head of that axe.
Yeah.
Absolute maximum force at the head of that axe with a two-handed swing. That's what that position says. So, yeah, that would be cool.
I got a separate note for myself for later.
I hope that helps.
No, thank you. That actually absolutely helps. Like figuring out where the eyes were and figuring out what the issue with the hands. Yeah. Thank you.
It's working on your brain 3D. I call it when you're not working in like actual 3D, but you're drawing something that needs to be three-dimensional. That's brain 3D. You have to think about it in space in your head, and you know, knowing perspective can help with that. Understanding structure helps with that, right? That's why you do it. You know, it's kind of a fundamental thing. Don't skip structure, because it'll mess. That's what I was struggling with earlier. I drew this face and I didn't. I thought I'd be a badass and wouldn't structure it, and I got to start over. So,
It happens.
so yeah.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much. That's
You are very
helpful.
welcome.
That's
And
what
now
we're
to
here
leave
for.
us alone because I get
Yeah.
to go and work on the work.
Yeah.
Instead of the fun stuff.
Yeah.
So is anyone else gonna go?
Gonna go where?
I mean, are they gonna get critiques?
Hey, you got
Are you
something you
looking
want
for
to
a
show?
critique?
Go for
Are
it.
you looking for more critique? Yeah.
I was actually looking for a critique. I just got sidetracked.
Yeah, hit
But
it,
anyway,
buddy.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So the aviatrix, I think that I want to change the legs, but I don't know how I want to do that.
What would you like them to look like?
Yeah. What's your goal?
So I was thinking about the boot that she's wearing and how if I were to draw another boot on that other leg, then it would lead to something that kind of doesn't look right, if that makes sense, or is convoluted.
Like, do you know what you want the boot to look like for your end result? Like, do you have an image you're referencing or anything in mind for how you want it? What your goal is for it?
So I remember you were drawing over my art again yesterday, and you suggested that I change the pose of the girl, like with the boots, and I was thinking back to that, but I can't remember exactly what you did.
Oh, I put it in the chat. Here, I'll grab the image. Hang on a second. Let me go back to that room, and I will grab it real quick for you. Did someone just message me?
No, me.
What are you looking for?
I know where it is. It's just someone just mentioned something about looking at my work, and I saw it pop up, and I didn't catch what it was. Let me find it.